I was playing a huge chess tournament in Menorca, Spain, a beautiful island that I absolutely love. And in this round, which was round number 6, I was facing Matias Montenero, a player from Portugal that I think actually I had either played or met in a different tournament in the past. So he was very familiar to me when I saw him. So we were talking a little bit before the game, and we were talking about if we'd ever met before, because I said that I kind of recognized him. And at first I thought he was from Spain, but then he was from Portugal. And I got really excited because I wish I could speak Portuguese, but I can't. And he was super friendly. And so we were talking for a bit. And then the arbiter later said that it was time to shake hands and start the game. So we saw everyone else do it, and then he started the clock. And I went d4 and he played d5. And this became a very normal Queen's Gambit decline, where he decided to play this little sneaky move a6. We traded off pawns in the center and I got my bishop out. And as you can see, this was a blitz game. We only had 3 minutes on the clock, so this was going to be a very fast game. So I defended the bishop, he got his bishop out, and I spent a couple seconds contemplating if I should take his bishop or if I should move somewhere else. And so far, everything was good. I mean, my tournament was not going so well, but I was keeping my hopes up and I thought this game was going to be great. So I got my bishop out and he spent a bit of time thinking, and you're gonna see that if you think that I am a player that typically thinks a lot, I finally played someone who in this game thought more than me. Which made me very happy. But anyways, he brought his knight out and I got my queen out, looking a little bit towards that pawn in h7. He developed his knight, and it was time now for me to figure out where should I put my knight. Should it go to f3? Should it go to e2? I wasn't sure, but I thought, okay, knight f3. Anna, come on, let's do normal moves. Let's just go knight f3. So I got my knight out and he decided to play the move knight f8. Now, when he did this, I know this is an idea typically, but I thought that this was a bit unique to do before castling. So I decided to simply bring my knight up and I was very happy. But I know that this is fine for him to play, but I just thought that this was maybe something that made me happy. So anyways, my knight was now in the center of the board. And now he brought out his knight, threatening mine, and I instantly defended it with f4. You see how fast I'm playing? I've only spent 15 seconds so far, pretty much. And in this moment, the position was completely fine, but he did this move, knight g4. So I set out a trap. I decided that I really wanted him to take my knight, but I decided, okay, let me actually threaten his knight, because sometimes when you make a move like this, it's not so noticeable that the knight is hanging, because it just looks like I did that move to defend my pawn. But I had this sneaky threat of right now also threatening his knight, and he forgot about it, so he castled, and my trap worked. I was able to win his knight, and that made me very, very, very happy. But in this moment, he was going to fight, and he was going to fight till the end. He did not want to resign. He decided to keep going. Typically in tournaments, you know, when there's a big loss like this, like you lose a piece or something, many people will resign. But it's a blitz tournament and anything can happen. So it's also actually quite a good practice to not resign and to keep going. And that's exactly what he did. So he was going to try to make my life very difficult now on the board. So he was threatening my pawn. I defended it. I went king f2, defended the pawn. And now he had to find a way of continuing his attack. So he decided to move his pawn to b5, threatening maybe to start pushing that pawn, and I just wanted to keep attacking him. I now had a winning position and I knew it, but I had to not mess it up. So I went f5, threatening his knight, and he went queen e7, threatening to take my pawn on e3 and maybe even have something lead to a checkmate. So I got my h rook there so that I could do some fake castles. And now his knight is hanging and the knight doesn't have a lot of places to go to. I mean, it doesn't look so great to have to go to h8, right? So he went queen f6, which is a good move to try to get the knight to e7 instead. So queen f6, now my pawn is pinned. I can't take his knight. And I thought that now soon it's going to be time for me to get my king out of here. But I just thought, come on, Anna, you're a whole piece up. There has to be some good way of winning. But I started by simply moving my king to g1. And he had to move the knight now. So he decided to go knight e7. And it was time for me to find another plan. How was I convincingly going to win this game? Was I going to start an attack? Was I going to go like h4, h5 and start an attack? Yes, that's exactly what I was going to do. So I went h4 with the idea now of pushing that pawn to the other side. And I was getting very excited. He went g6 to try to trade that pawn. But I thought the more that he opens up the king, the easier my attack is going to be. So I was considering here going h5, but I thought that maybe I can start by taking actually, because if he takes with the f pawn, then I thought that maybe I can go rook f1 and his queen doesn't have a lot of places to go to. And the more I trade, the better my position will be, because the more I will, or the less defenders he will have left. So I decided to try to trade here. Queen g7, I went for a check first to get his king further out, and then I wanted to trade. I really wanted to trade, but I also had to find or figure out if there was another way of doing something better. So he took back with the rook. We traded rooks there, and then I went rook f1 because I wanted to trade as many pieces as possible. And now if he moves his rook, my plan was to go rook f7. So he went knight f5, which I think is well, I mean, it's a move to try to stop the trades, but I just realized that here I can take it. He took back with the pawn, and I, in this position, got really confused because the moment I moved my bishop, I realized that my pawn on e3 was not on e3 anymore, it was on f3. So I was asking him, where was this pawn? And we laughed a bit about it. But here we traded queens, and he was visibly not so happy about this trade of queens. But I was very happy because I was a whole knight up in this endgame, which is a huge advantage. He was still not resigning. He was still going, even if he had a second left and I had over a minute. And he was a piece down in this endgame. But, you know, that's how Blitz is. But he was really refusing to resign, which I thought was pretty funny because I was like, okay, I'm definitely not going to lose this. But sometimes people do this because it's really annoying to come to the fact that you're going to lose this game. So it's a way of keeping the game going, also to feel better, right? To get used to the idea that you're about to lose this game. I've done this a lot of times too, so I understand it, but I just thought it was really funny during the game that he kept not resigning. So I thought, okay, am I gonna have to get a queen and checkmate maybe to finish the game? Maybe. So that was my new plan. I decided to trade as much as I could because the less defenders he had, the easier it was gonna be for me. We traded rooks, and now there was only a knight left against his king, and I was now going to try to promote my pawn. So in this position, it was me having an extra pawn and an extra knight. And here, when he lost this pawn, he was going c5, and I was just thinking, can I not just take this pawn? But okay, I thought maybe I'll bring in the king instead. And then I moved my knight to start pushing that h-pawn. And in this position, after a few more moves, when I was just winning all his pawns, he finally decided to resign. So it became a very long game where I was winning for most of the game. But I do admire the wanting to never resign. It is what I tell typically my students. Well, I don't have any students, but you know, this is typically what I tell you. That you should never resign, especially in Blitz games. So it's not a bad spirit, but I just thought it was funny. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this game. I was very happy after I won this game. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and please play more chess.